Did you know that you can build rubrics in Blackboard to simplify your grading and feedback process? Rubrics can encourage fair grading practices for instructors and help students work toward mastery by clearly communicating strengths and weaknesses. Begin by scrolling down to Course Tools and finding Rubric. Clicking on Rubrics will take you to the page where created rubrics are stored. Currently, I don't have any saved rubrics, so I'm going to choose Create Rubric. As with anything you create in Blackboard, the first thing you do is give it a name. Next, we create the rubric. The default rubric is set to % scoring, has novice, competent, and proficient as the levels of achievement, and lists formatting, organization, and grammar as the criteria. All of these options can be changed. For example, if I'm grading how well my students did on an assignment where they used research skills to locate and analyze primary sources, I might change my criteria by clicking Edit and changing the name. But perhaps I would like to add a criterion to evaluate their citations. I can click Add Row, which gives me a new row at the bottom. If upon looking at my criteria, I decide that I would like to change the order, I can use the button that says Criteria and has two arrows pointing in opposite directions to choose the criterion that I want to move and to use the arrows to position it. I can also use the button with arrows going in a circular direction to swap the entire order. Once I'm satisfied with the order, I can click Submit. Notice that my percentages are now unbalanced. The Balance Weights button can be used automatically to balance the percentage weights between all criteria. If I leave my rubric set to %, I can also change the weights of the criteria. A running total is kept at the bottom to help make sure your weights add up to 100%. Now that our criteria are satisfactory, let's look at the levels of achievement. They can be altered in much the same way as the criteria. The names can be edited. The order can be changed. And you can add or remove columns. But there are other important adjustments you can make as well. The drop-down menu next to Rubric Type gives you the options No Points, Points, Point Range, Percent, and Percent Range. These options allow you the freedom to score your rubric in the way that best suits your grading philosophy. No Points means the rubric is for feedback only, not scoring. Points is what you should use if you routinely give your scores in points rather than percentages. Point Range allows you options even within a particular scoring category. Percent is the same as points, but for those who give their scores in percentages rather than points. And Percent Range, like Point Range, means you have a sliding scale within each category. Let's change it to points and set the available points for the categories. Notice that my criteria are no longer weighted. An account of total points is given at the bottom of the page. Lastly, to give the most specific feedback possible, I can add descriptions in these boxes that detail what level of work will result in each score. These descriptions are not required, but it is best practice to include good feedback from which your students can gain insight into how they can improve. And the good news is that once you've created and saved one of these rubrics, it can be reused for multiple assignments. So it's worth putting in the extra effort when creating them. We now have a complete rubric and we're ready to submit. Now I have a saved rubric on my Rubrics page. Time to incorporate it into an assignment. When building an assignment, rubrics are added just below where you designate the points possible. Use the Add Rubric button. You will have three options: select rubric, create new rubric, or create from existing. Select rubric is for attaching a rubric that you've already created and want to use as is. Create new rubric allows you to go through the process we just went through, but right here in the assignment page. It will still be added to your rubrics page where you can access it later. Create from existing allows you to take a rubric that you've created already and adapt or change it to meet the needs of a different assignment. For this assignment, we're going to choose Select Rubric. This brings up any rubrics I've created for me to choose from. Once the rubric has been added, it can be deleted, viewed, or edited from here. We can also choose whether students will be allowed to view the rubric and under what circumstances. Once students have completed this assignment, we can use the rubric to grade their work. To grade the assignment, go to Grade Center, Needs Grading to find completed work. When I click on a student, I am taken to their assignment. To access my rubric, I open the feedback window by clicking on the blue strip with an arrow and then clicking on the rubric. If I want to see descriptions that I entered, I can click this box. Now I am ready to grade by choosing the level of achievement that best describes this student's performance. I'm given a raw total of points received out of points possible. I can change the number if necessary and give further feedback. If I'm satisfied with the grade and the feedback I've given, I can submit the grade. The grade is recorded and will be sent to the Grade Center. Students can now view rubric from their My Grades page to see how they were scored and what aspects they need to improve upon for next time. Rubrics can be a powerful tool to help instructors grade and provide feedback more efficiently and to help students reflect on their work.